got the voice that's mean, asking those questions that you never seen. He's got that fire, burning bright and clean. Andrew Keen making waves, break the routine on the Keen on show. He brings the heat, asking the minds, digging deep till they bleed. No sugar-coated truths, no lies to deceive. Andrew Keen, the master of the interview beat. He's got the knowledge, he's got the flair, challenging ideas with a fearless stare. With every question, he's uncovering what's there. Andrew Keen, a truth seeker, he's aware.
Hello, everybody. It's Thursday, December the 4th, 2025. As the year comes to an end, we live, it seems to me, in rather strange times. On the one hand, we seem to be on the verge of all sorts of technological miracles. There's talk of a pill to cure cancer. The weight loss drug boom is just going to begin next year. And the New York Times is even running pieces now about pills that will allow our cats to lose weight. And yet there seems to be a general skepticism about technology. In fact, later this week, I have an interview with Samuel Miller MacDonald, who has a new book out, which is a critique and attack on the very idea of progress. My guest today seems to epitomize progress. Lu Zhang was educated in China, actually born in Inner Mongolia, and now she's a very successful and prominent Silicon Valley venture capitalist. She is the founder of Fusion Fund, and she's joining us today from Palo Alto. Lu, do you share this sense of paradox? On the one hand, technology seems to be dramatically changing the world. On the other hand, there's ever more skepticism about technology. There's, of course, the big debate about AI too.
Yes, on one side, as you mentioned, especially powered by AI, now there are two types of innovation. One is AI native innovation, another is AI empowered innovation. If we look at the total scope, it's not only just about the tech industry, which is about roughly 10% of US GDP. We're essentially talking about all the surface industry, all the industry with a huge amount of high quality data. So the influence and the empowerment of AI would be expanded to more than 50% of the US GDP. So technology is evolving. We're going to increase the efficiency, productivity, doing both the business automation, business optimization. I also have a strong focus on AI in healthcare. You know, we always talk about the future of the healthcare. It's really personalized diagnostic, personalized treatment plan. So now AI can enable so many solutions focused on digital diagnostic, digital therapeutics for cancer, heart disease, mental disease. So overall, that's all the promising future. But on the other side, when technology evolving so fast, we never had a technology evolving so fast. The regulation is now ready. Society is now ready. Sometimes we even don't have the data set infrastructure ready. And we do have company, for example, also try to address the challenge brought in by AI. For example, one of my company, Reality Defender, they're using AI to detect the deepfake requests generated by AI for financial institution. And also not to mention about the data privacy issue, access to data. And within healthcare sector, there are lots of discussion about, hallucination issue, etc. So yeah, you're right that it's a really ironic situation. But on the other side, I think technology evolving fast as a community of innovation, as a community of the regulator will eventually catch up. So we still have a promising and bright future. It's just that we have to be patient in the process of achieving that goal.
Tell me a little bit about your background. As I said, you were born in Inner Mongolia. I'm not sure how many venture capitalists there are, founding venture capitalists of funds in Silicon Valley who were born in Inner Mongolia, and then you attended university in China, Tianjin University. Do you see your narrative as remarkable?
I would say my journey is kind of unique. You're right. We're very proud of our nature, the culture in the Mongolian, but we don't have innovation ecosystem there. That's also one motivation for me to choose my path. Decided to come to United States for my graduate school, and I landed in one of the best ecosystem powered by Stanford University. I was doing my graduate school research at Stanford, and I was doing material science engineering research, focused a lot on the nano-thin film sensor, lithium-ion battery, multi-junction solar cell. That was more than 10 years ago. And at the time, we also had a lot of interesting exploration on leverage machine learning to utilize the data to provide a better result. Now we have a new name for machine learning, which is artificial intelligence. So I think that's kind of the reason I choose to come to this ecosystem. And since then, my journey has been really rewarding. So I'm very happy went through this path as initially researcher, technology owner, and later become entrepreneur myself, eventually start Fusion Fund 10 years ago in 2015.
You say you came to this ecosystem. That's a rather odd way of putting it. It's a country, Lou, isn't it, rather than an ecosystem? Or do you think of your life in Palo Alto through Stanford University as being part of an ecosystem rather than perhaps as a citizen of the United States or as someone living in the United States?
Yes, the U.S. is the country. I also later became U.S. citizen, but I have to highlight Silicon Valley is a quite unique ecosystem. That's the reason I always highlight ecosystem. This ecosystem is empowered by lots of global talents. I think more than 40–50% of the local talents are first-generation immigrant like me. So there's a strong global perspective here. Not only everyone here wanted to empower the future by with technology to change the world. They want to change the whole world, not only just the US. I think that's the beauty of the technology innovation.
I don't want to turn this, Lou, into another boring conversation about Donald Trump. I'm sure you don't want to either. But I assume you have strong opinions on who should and shouldn't be let into the United States. You came to this country. When did you come to this country?
2010.
So 15 years ago, if you, the younger version of a Lu Zhang, perhaps educated in China, growing up in Inner Mongolia, they might struggle to get a permit. Does that concern you?
It does concern me. I think on two angles. On one side, it's just lots of discussion about H-1B. It's not. I know lots of the discussion about H-1B in DC is really about the large tech company recruiting, immigrant talents. But on the other side, tons of innovative startups are founded by immigrant funders. And especially we're looking at AI-powered solution. Lots of the talents are international talents. So if we have limited working permit, we essentially are hurting the innovation of this ecosystem. Another thing is really about education. I went through the graduate school study at Stanford. I think the U.S. have one of the best university system in the whole world and attracting lots of global talents coming here, eventually also contributing to the U.S. economy. But now the lack of funding and are hurting a lot of the PhD student, postdoc student. That's also another worry I have. It's not necessary for the near term, but it's more for the long term. Like, what is the future of the U.S.? It's really the concentration of the global talents, the top talents doing innovation here. Here have the best business environment and business go-to-market. But you also want to have the smartest people coming here to really make things happen.
We've done many shows, Lou, in the past about what many people think of as the crisis, perhaps even death of the American dream. Mm-hmm. David Leonhardt, for example, from the New York Times came on the show to talk about ours was the shining future. In other words, it's no longer the shining future. The American dream no longer exists. Do you think if you, a younger version of yourself, was thinking about whether or not to come to the United States in the 2020s, you might choose to go somewhere else? Singapore, for example, or India, or Scandinavia?
To be honest, if it's the younger version of me came into US, in 2020 or even now, I still wanted to come to US. I still want to stay in Silicon Valley. I think it's really come back to what I wanted to build. And my personal passion is really in terms of the social impact driven. I want to change the world. I want to find the most productive, efficient way to change the world for better course. And the technology is the most powerful tool. And if you wanted to do technology innovation, here is still the best market. It's the best ecosystem, the best community, and the quality of the talents, the quality of the capital, and also the collaboration between large enterprise with a smaller startup is fascinating. It's one of the unique things we have here. Of course, we also wanted to make sure the policy and the government support everything can tag along and support the growth of the upcoming technology trend. Yes, there's some up and down on the way. So I hope in the next couple of years, the policymaker can realize the importance of the global talents and potential shift the direction of the policy.
Yesterday, we had a Chinese American scholar, Minjing Pei, on the show. He has a new book out. It's called, appropriately enough, The Broken China Dream, How Reform Revived Totalitarianism in Xi's China. Did you ever consider staying in China? China is competing, it seems, with the United States in terms of its technological innovation. Of course, on the political front, it's more complicated. But what's your take on the technological innovation now taking place in China?
Actually, if you ask me, the two strongest AI superpower right now in the whole world is actually US and China. If you look at the China ecosystem right now, it's not only on the model side. You saw even DeepSeek had another launch a couple of days ago with an open source model. The performance is really good. It's equivalent to a GPT-5 and also much cheaper cost. And especially looking at the innovation in China on robotics. Not only the robotics innovation is strong, they also make it super cheap, probably less than 20, it's only 20%, 10% of the cost of building a robotics here in the United States. So I think both economy has really strong potential in the future. But on the other side, there's also difference between the nature of the economy in general. For example, US right now is very strong on the B2B end, which means the industry player, the large enterprise, are in full speed adopting AI and other new innovation. Versus in China, I think the huge population still give them a huge benefit. And also the general population are more open to accept new stuff. They're open to use new AI solutions. So you can see lots of the consumer AI solutions are growing pretty fast in China. So I think these two economies going to continue in parallel grow in their own way. And there will be competition, there will be potential collaboration, I hope, in the future. And we really need to be alert and then watching, not only just focus looking at what is happening here in the US. We should look at a global innovation trend and especially what's happening in China.
What's your take? I take your point, Lou, on not looking just at the United States. But what's your take on the current state of play in AI in the US, particularly in Silicon Valley? It's been a bad week for OpenAI, a very good couple of weeks for Google, a mixed week for NVIDIA. Is this the moment where we remember late November, early December 2025 as the moment where Google began to dominate the AI landscape and OpenAI began to decline and perhaps fall into crisis?
To be honest, internally, we've been keep close tracking all the AI launches done by Google since last year. You know, it's not only just the Gemini launched by Google. Google have a full ecosystem. They have launches focused on robotics model, edge model, and the AlphaFold, Alpha Gemini. This is actually for healthcare application. They also have lots of other ongoing potential launches in the near future. It's just most of them is under the radar of the media. That's the reason now with the breakthrough of the Gemini 3, people start to talk more about their dominant position competing with OpenAI. But to be honest, it's already happened for a while. It's not only just the December. It's actually happened in the Q2, Q3 this year. Not only they are performing better, another big advantage Google have is really the cost reduction. Now the biggest challenge of AI is actually the energy consumption, GPU consumption. Essentially, not only we're competing for the performance of AI, but also for the cost of AI. And Google is probably the only tech company in Silicon Valley right now have the full stack solution. They have their own TPU, their own AI Gemini model, and also their own cloud and their own application. And also, they're the only tech company have access to both consumer and enterprise data. So look at the full stack optimization and performance improvement and eventually the cost reduction. Their AI solution is much cheaper than other competitors, including OpenAI. So that's the reason we're very bullish about the AI capability of Google since early this year. It just now with the major launch of the Gemini, more people are saying, and OpenAI also have a big crisis mode right now trying to catch up. But on the other side, I think, eventually this market won't just be dominated by one model, one supplier. There will be multiple players and have different advantages. And not to mention, cloud also recently have a new launch, which is quite impressive as well. And the Grok XAI done by Elon Musk, they only started early last year. Just think about how much progress they had made in the past 1.5 years, which is quite impressive as well. And coming to your questions about NVIDIA, sometimes I found really interesting how market react to different type of news. I still remember when the announcement, when the launch of the DeepSeek happened early this year. I remember that day I was visiting NVIDIA. We always have a close relationship with them for collaboration, and their stock dropped for 20%. But later on, people start to realize actually lower cost of the AI training model, AI model training, gonna benefit company like NVIDIA as well, because the adoption of AI will continue to be accelerated. Same thing here. No matter with OpenAI, Gemini, as long as AI model is not only getting better, but also getting cheaper, we'll see a larger adoption of AI across different industry, which means the demand for GPU for compute will continue increase. I know there's also narrative about the competition between TPU and the GPU. Yes, TPU is performing really well within Google AI system, the full stack themselves. But I don't think TPU will be able to really challenge and replace the position of the GPU for the generic AI training across different company and application use cases. And eventually, if we're going to power more than 50% of the US GDP with AI, we need more company to providing the computing power. Not only NVIDIA, not only AMD, not only Google, we need more in order to make that future happen.
When it comes to power, are you concerned with the current American government's seeming disinterest in renewable energy, particularly in comparison with China?
I do. And that's one thing, China also have a huge advantage because they deploy so much power plant in the past 1 year. I remember I saw an article a couple months ago. It's an article from Australia mentioning the deployment of the solar panel in China in the past couple months is even more than the solar panel deployment in the past 20 years in Australia. I didn't check the details of the number, but it's really impressive how much of the strategic investment they're making for the power storage and prepare for the future of AI. And in the United States, the biggest challenge right now in AI, as I mentioned, is we're gonna run out of the energy very soon. That's the reason you saw lots of the large tech company is thinking about the different solution. They talk about small nuclear plant, and there are lots of companies start to invest in the natural gas, which is the more like instant, short-term solution. But we still need much powerful power plant in the future if we want to power up the AI. I think on that end, no matter investment into the clean energy, just essentially we need to upgrade of existing the grid, the power plant in general. That's something, no matter you call it the challenge or maybe innovation opportunity, we have to work on it, find a solution for it in the next couple of years, because clock is ticking, we don't have too much of buffer time.
Lou, you sound pretty bullish. I'm guessing that you don't believe there's a bubble around AI these days. Is that fair?
Interesting. Yesterday I was on the panel. Also, moderator asked me about the bubble issue. I sometimes joke about the Silicon Valley is like a bubble economy. We need things come up and down in order to have a cycling of the capital and the innovation. But I always like to separate technology trend versus capital market. I personally think there's a bubble in the capital market, in the both private and public market. There are some companies got overvalued. There are lots of capital concentrated into the small amount of company, and we have lots of the volatility potential in the future. But on the other side, if you look at technology itself, it's not only about tech evolution, it's about adoption. Lots of our company will be investing in AI for the past 10 years. We also have a network of 45 CTO from Global 1000 company. Many of them are not from the tech industry. They're from traditional banking sector, insurance industry, logistic, healthcare sector. And if you look at their momentum and also their internal agenda on the AI strategy, data strategy is quite fascinating. They are allocating much bigger budget to adopt AI. They're preparing their infrastructure to be ready for plug and play with the AI solution. We have many portfolio companies, even they're still in earlier stage. I'm talking about seed Series A. They're getting contract with a Fortune 500 company doing larger scale deployment. So I think once the large enterprise seeing the beauty of the technology, doing both business automation help them reduce the cost, and the business optimization help them increase the revenue, that's not something you can easily just give up in the future. So yeah, I'm very bullish about the future of AI, the future of AI-powered economy. But meanwhile, I think we need to also be cautious on the bubble in the capital market. There are always a rational, irrational decision in terms of the investment. And as individual investor, as an innovator founder, we need to be disciplined on the valuation.
Has the AI economy had its Netscape moment? Of course, the Netscape moment in the mid-90s was the IPO of Netscape. There's rumors now that Anthropic might launch an IPO next year. There was a headline in the Wall Street Journal this morning. Does it require a major IPO, an Anthropic perhaps, or even an OpenAI, to really make this AI revolution as profound as the internet? Or are the public markets less relevant than they were? For a venture capitalist, of course, you need a return on your capital, and there's only two ways of doing that. Either your investment, the companies you invest in are acquired, or they go public.
My personal opinion is I don't think it's so relevant anymore. Yes, it can be a signal to let the whole world saying that, okay, the AI company, the size, the influence, the capital amount is quite significant. But in reality, we're still in the beginning part of the AI trend. I know there are tons of discussion about AI, about generative AI, about different AI model company application in the past 2 years. But there's a new model architecture being invented. There are new model integration are happening. There are lots of the solution coming out focused on the data curation, architecture redesign, and application integration. This is all just getting started. I always talk about for any technology trend, there are 3 stages: fundamental tech innovation, tech application innovation, and the business model innovation. Now we're in the stage starting with the technology application stage. But meanwhile, the fundamental tech continue evolving. That's the reason I don't think we're in the peak of the AI trend. We just get started. And in the next couple of years, we'll continue to go uphill, and until we see not only better AI solution, but also much cheaper AI solution really empower the larger scale adoption across different industries.
What seems to be true of the AI economy is it's going to be a winner-take-all game where there's only going to be a handful of winners. You've already talked about Google, maybe Anthropic and AI, requiring massive investment, billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. You successfully raised a fund, the Fusion Fund. You're the founder and you run the fund. You raised $190 million, which is a lot of money. But when compared to the big VCs like Andreessen Horowitz, who just lined up $10 billion, can you compete as a kind of startup fund with these winner-take-all VC funds like Andreessen Horowitz?
First, I want to address your questions to talk about the winner-take-all. There's a 2 type of a direction of AI innovation. One is consumer AI, as we mentioned, which I agree is winner-take-all. Because when we talk about AI innovation, the essential is ABC, is algorithm, big data, and the last thing is a compute. So for consumer AI, large tech company, they control all 3. They have such a strong advantages against other company. So I think it might be a winner-take-all situation. However, in the past 10 years, we've been mainly focused on B2B. We didn't touch anything consumer. We're investing in company building vertical AI solution for specific industry, for specific use cases. So if you look at their AI solution, they're not building large model. They're building small vertical model. And also for them, the quality of the data matters more than the quantity of the data. And my portfolio company could be a company focused on vertical application for healthcare sector, for insurance, for financial industry. Who owns the data? It's now the Google, Microsoft, it's the large bank, it's an insurance company, it's a hospital. And they actually prefer to work with smaller startup because lots of the industry, they're highly regulated. They have compliance concern. They don't want to upload all the internal sensitive data to the cloud. Also, they don't want to share the internal sensitive data with some large tech company. They prefer to use an AI solution. It's a small vertical model can run on the local private network. and also eventually potentially can run on their edge devices. That's a reason we always talk about the future of AI is also AI on the edge. It's not only about having new AI interface for us to use AI in different use cases, but also about the security of the data and also be able to meet the requirement of compliance across different industry. That's the sector, that's the direction we've been investing. I don't think that's going to be winner take all. And also vertical small model has another small benefit. Because I mentioned it's a small model, it's a small data library, the computing consumption, energy consumption will be much less compared with large models. So they'll be cheaper. So I think the future for enterprise AI will be probably hundreds and thousands of the vertical small model, and each of them would have a dedicated focus area, sector, and will have a hundred thousands of $100 billion company or $50 billion company. That's kind of the future I'm seeing here. And then coming back to your questions about us competing with a larger VC like Andreessen, number one, we've been really focusing on early stage. So I think lots of the firm you mentioned, Andreessen, they're actually multi-stage. They're investing not only early seed, pre-seed, Series A, they're also investing growth stage and later stage, which is the stage you saw lots of companies raising tons of capital. But for early stage, the beauty of early stage is we'll be able to identify the interesting technology early on, and they might be pre-revenue, but they have product market fit. So we'll be able to come in with a single-digit $1 million check and become a close partner with the founder, help them drive the hyper growth of the revenue. So most of our company, when we invest their pre-revenue, but within 1 or 2 years, their revenue will grow from 0 to $3 million, $5 million. The fastest one we have is a company grow from $500,000 to $150 million within 1.5 years. The best company we have right now is making $2.5 billion revenue. So you can see that how we really play the game that coming early and also be able to really help them finish the journey of a 0 to 1 and help them prepare for the hyper growth stage with our resources, not only just the capital. So when we look at early stage startup founder, they're not only looking for VC have a huge amount of capital, they're looking for VC who have domain knowledge, who have network and help them with the revenue growth. We built up all this community in the past 10 years. That's also the reason we actually grow from less than $20 million to over $500 million in the past 10 years.
You mentioned 0 to 1, of course, a phrase that certain Peter Thiel came up with, a very controversial white male. Most of the prominent VCs in Silicon Valley, certainly the older ones like Mark Andreessen, Ben Horowitz, are also white men. You're obviously not. You have an unusual story, born in Mongolia, educated in China, a female. In terms of your fusion fund and the team that you've put together, have you tried to add a little bit of diversity? Are you concerned with the white male reputation of Silicon Valley venture capitalism?
I truly believe one thing, diversity is critical to innovation. Because we always we talk about innovation, you need to think outside the box. If you have a group of investor or founder who share the same life experience, the same similar background, it's not that easy to bring diversity. So I think diversity is not only for social impact, it's actually critical to innovation. So for us, I think the beauty of the Fusion Fund is when I start a firm, my personal background, I'm kind of combination of minority immigrant, young founder, female all together. So all the partners and team members joining me and attract to the Fusion platform also have a similar mindset. Regardless whether they're Caucasian, white male, they actually have a strong global perspective. They have a strong diversity thinking. And if you look at our team background, we also have a really nice, I would call it cognitive diversity. It's not only just the skin color or the gender, it's cognitive diversity. We have a couple team member, grew up in Europe and grew up in Canada, in Singapore, United States, and we have such a diverse life experience and the perspective coming together. Not only make us a better investor, but also help us serve and help identify the diverse background founder across the world coming to Silicon Valley.
Have you experienced any discrimination yourself, either as an entrepreneur or an investor, as a woman?
Yes, I did. I think I went through this journey of young and female entrepreneur back in more than 10 years ago. And when I initially started a Fusion Fund, also a similar thing happened. Partially discrimination, partially I think it's just everyone have stereotype. but how to break stereotype is important. But I feel for me, I have an entrepreneur spirit, and also Silicon Valley is a unique place that the people really evaluate each other based on the result you deliver. They may have stereotype start talking with you, but once I got in deliver, not only deliver meet expectation, my goal is always exceed the expectation. Then the result will change people's stereotype.
You made your name, your success as an entrepreneur in medical technology and AI. You invest in it significantly. All sorts of media articles about the way in which AI is about to revolutionize the medical system. How bullish are you, Lou, about the way in which AI can fix healthcare in the United States? What needs to happen?
Yeah, so I don't know whether AI can 100% fix the healthcare system, but I do believe I have a strong passion for AI in healthcare in general. And now it's also a major year to empower AI for healthcare. Couple of reasons. On one side, not only healthcare industry need AI also need healthcare industry. We always talk about the fundamental power source of AI is really the data, access to data, which industry have a huge amount of high quality data, healthcare sector, diversity of the data, healthcare sector. Actually 30% of the data in our human society are healthcare related. But guess how much of it being utilized so far? Less than 5%. So it's a huge gap. It's a huge opportunity as well. So that's the reason not only just the healthcare sector need AI, AI also need a huge amount of high quality data from healthcare sector to show its full capability and show the capability across different use cases. But come back to healthcare itself, on one side is really the personalization of the treatment plan I mentioned earlier on, no matter for cancer, heart disease, especially for mental disease. Think about for depression, 20% of the population in US have depression. Think about the dementia, Alzheimer, Parkinson. With aging population, it's a huge problem, huge burden to society, huge painful problem for the families. And the mental disease are highly personalized. No matter at what trigger, the progression and the treatment plan need to be personalized in order to achieve better treatment result. How we do personalized and also cost efficient therapeutic solution for mental disease? We need AI. So we've been investing in a couple companies doing that already as a vertical AI model for different type of mental disease, and not only for diagnostic, but also for treatment plan. Recently, we invested a company leveraging AI, be able to provide personalized solution for dementia and Parkinson, which is significant. Once we have the treatment plan for treatment therapeutic solution for mental disease, the value of early diagnostic is really much bigger. That's one side. On the other side is just look at the whole healthcare system. Look at the whole healthcare system, how bizarre it is. And we don't have all this access to data, and the medical coding, medical billing is still ongoing. Just think about how many physicians are wasting their time doing medical coding. We want the physician to take time to talk to patients. That's all the simple use cases can be resolved and done by AI. People always worry about AI competing with physicians or nurses. No, we're thinking about using AI to empower them and let them spend their time really on the critical matters. In fact, in the United States, we have a huge shortage of the physician right now. We don't have enough doctors. So how to empower them to be more productive is really essential. For example, we have a company, they're using AI, Gen AI, to do medical image enhancement. They're not doing diagnostic. We still need a human in the loop, doctor to make the final decision and diagnostic. But what they do is use AI to upgrade a low resolution CT scan, MRI scan to high resolution quality, which provide better result. And this is just one click AI solution, FDA approved, and make possible for patients better, cheaper, better, faster, and also lower radiation exposure. And for physician hospital, they improve their capacity. Instead of only do 10 scans per day, they can do 20, 30 scans per day. So this is the beauty of AI-empowered workflow productivity improvement within healthcare sector. One last thing I really want to highlight is really about access to data. Healthcare sector have a huge amount of data, but we also have the data isolation issue in the past couple of years. Hospital in West Coast are now sharing data with the East Coast. Different hospitals have different system hosting their data. But now there are also we have a company doing federal computing. Federal computing is also AI algorithm. It can sit on top of sensitive data, especially hospital data. This company are working with over 62 hospitals in United States already, and they sit on top of their sensitive data. Then third party can access to hospital data without asking the hospital to move or transfer the data. So there are no compliance issue, data privacy got protected, and essentially solve the data isolation challenge. So this is kind of the innovation we're seeing happening within healthcare sector, step by step, help us access to high quality data, apply AI, start to do personalized clinical application, eventually also improve the productivity of the whole system. But it will take years. We also need the regulator, FDA, tag along. We also need hospital system, insurance company understand the value of the different technology, understand the right architecture, infrastructure to integrate AI, make sure we have the proper protection, AI governance in place before we use AI. We need to have better computing in place before we start sharing the data. So it will take some time, but it's promising.
It's encouraging, Lou. As you know, there's a huge debate about jobs and the future of jobs in an AI age. You're clearly bullish, and there's a lot of debate about what people should be studying in college. You're a Stanford person. You're still associated with the university. You got your chance in the United States as a student at Stanford. What should people be studying in school if they're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at places like Stanford? Should they be still studying coding or data science or AI or the humanities? What advice do you give your friends and perhaps even some of your investments in terms of education, preparing oneself for this new age?
Yeah, I think number one questions we want to ask ourselves is, what is the purpose of the education? Is that mainly for us to get certain skill set, or just more about training ourselves to have the capability to learn things whenever we want? So I think any subject can help us train our brain, be able to have this capability to learn and learn fast in the future, are still really valuable and still very necessary. But if you ask me about a specific major, I have personal preference. When my friends ask me about their kids, I always recommend one is neuroscience, neurology in general. Another is aerospace. Because on one side, healthcare is a booming industry. There will be lots of innovation happening. Another thing is, although we now have a super powerful generative AI model, but the most power efficient system in the whole world is our human brain. And our AI is not working as a human brain right now in terms of how to communicate with each other, analysis data, the long-term, short-term memory. So if we do further study and understanding about the neurology, about our human brain, we may bring better idea how to design the next generation of AI. It's not only just within healthcare innovation, but also for the future of AI. For aerospace, it's really just about the booming trend of the space sector, space infrastructure in general. We all see the launching cost is getting lower and lower, powered by companies like SpaceX. In the future, we'll have much cheaper access to space data, satellite data, and eventually we're going to have a space infrastructure established in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's also something coming up. And coming back to your question in terms of challenge opportunity generated by AI, for example, for Stanford, recently they have a new building called the CODA building, and which I personally also donate a small conference room. So there will be students saying there's a Fusion Fund conference room in the CODA building. And you will see an interesting design in the CODA building. Out of their large classroom, the table is not the one direction. It's not like a student had to face the front and listen to the lecture from the professor. All the tables are designed in a way to do group discussion. It's more like a round table type of thing than the chairs surrounding it with a whiteboard. I think there will be more emphasis in terms of figure out how to enable students know how to learn instead of master certain skill set directly. Once you have this fast learning capability, regardless it's AI or other technology innovation in the future, younger generation will be able to learn so fast and also master this powerful tool and use the tool to make themselves become the superpower or superhuman in the future.
Superhuman? What does that mean, Lou?
Superhuman, actually been talking about the superhuman since probably 5 years ago. I think the future, no matter we like it or not, we're gonna physically empowered by robotic sensor and mentally powered by AI. So we can choose to either just stay as an authentic human, or we just integrate with all the technology innovation to become the superhuman. We're essentially already supercharged by AI right now with the ChatGPT. I think the beauty of the AI is not only just the of a ChatGPT or generative AI or Gemini. It's not only just the democracy of the technology. It's the democracy of access to the knowledge. Now you don't necessarily need to have certain platform and also learning certain classes to know the knowledge. You could just simply ask AI. AI will provide you access to the knowledge. I think that's the beauty of it.
How would you prove to our viewers and listeners, Lou, that you're human and not a bot?
Oh, yeah. So that's actually a very good question. And I think the Turing test gonna have to be upgraded in the future. Sometimes I'm thinking about maybe if one way to tell whether I'm a human or AI is whether I actually make mistakes. Sometimes we expect AI to make no mistakes, and the mistake making might be a small beauty of the human nature, which create lots of the diversity and also the innovation.
Have you made any mistakes in this conversation?
I might be. I don't recall, but it will be interesting to looking back to track out.
Well, if you haven't, maybe you're a bot, and if you have, you're not. Wonderful conversation, Lou. And as we're coming to the end of 2025, two final questions. Firstly, what is the big story in 2025 in tech business terms? And what should we expect in 2026? Perhaps something slightly counterintuitive. I don't want to hear about 2026 being the age of AI. It goes without saying.
I think two things. One, of course, is the launch of the AI, especially the reduction of the cost. If you look at the cost per million token, actually decreased from $30 last year to now 9 cents, which is impressive and crazy low. And another major news we have this year is really about SpaceX. Now the launching cost is much, much lower because of reusable of the super heavy booster, etc. So in the next couple of years, we may see the launching cost continue to be lower, as low as the $10 million per launch. That will open a new stage of the human footprint, not only just on Earth, but also the space traveling.
Wow. Well, happy holidays, Lu Zhang. Happy New Year. Are you going to have some fun over the holidays? Or are you going to work?
Probably gonna work. It's a crazy busy year, but it's so innovation never stops, never sleep.
Innovation never stops, never sleeps. We'll have to have you back on the show in 2026. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. Andrew back again. I hope you enjoyed that Keen on America conversation. And to add to both your fun and your enlightenment, we're adding a new feature to Keen on America. It's a Google LLM Notebook AI summary of what you've just watched and listened to. So stick around. You might have a little bit more fun and enlightenment. Enjoy.
You know, we're living in a really strange moment, a kind of paradox. On one hand, we are right on the cusp of these incredible world-changing technological miracles. But on the other hand, so many of us feel this deep sense of skepticism, this worry about progress itself. So today, let's dive right into that contradiction, and we're going to use AI as our lens to understand it. I mean, just look at the promise here. It is staggering. We're talking about AI potentially empowering more than half of the entire US GDP. We're talking about personalized cures for things like cancer. But the peril feels just as real, doesn't it? This technology is just evolving way faster than our laws, our society, and even our basic data infrastructure can keep up. And that leaves us trying to deal with things like deepfakes, massive privacy issues, and just this general feeling of unease. So how in the world do we make sense of all this? Well, to help us out, we're going to turn to the insights of Lu Zhang. She's a venture capitalist who has this amazing story, going from Inner Mongolia all the way to Stanford. She has a unique front-row seat to this whole technological revolution, right in the heart of it all. And her perspective is really one of pragmatic optimism. As she puts it, yeah, the road ahead is going to be bumpy. But she truly believes that the innovators and the regulators, they're going to catch up to each other eventually. That bright future, it's still out there on the horizon. We have to be a little patient. But you know, this future isn't being built in some kind of vacuum. It's all happening on a global stage, and it's pretty much dominated by two major players. And this slide right here highlights such a fascinating contrast.
In the US, the strength is really in the business-to-business space. You have these huge companies in a flat-out race to integrate AI. China, on the other hand, is leveraging its absolutely massive and tech-savvy population to just dominate consumer AI. Plus, they're innovating in robotics at a fraction of the cost. So what you have are two very different but equally powerful approaches that are shaping the future of AI. Okay, so that brings us to the question that's on pretty much everyone's mind. With all this global competition swirling around, who's really pulling ahead in the corporate world? Well, according to Zhang, while the media is busy focusing on all the flashy new launches, the quiet giant in the room is Google. And this slide shows you exactly why. They have what's called a full stack solution. They have their own custom TPU chips, their Gemini models, their own cloud, and this is the crucial part, they have access to both consumer and enterprise data. This whole integrated system doesn't just make them better, it dramatically cuts their costs, giving them this massive long-term advantage. Now, all this intense competition and these astronomical company valuations lead to one very big question. Are we in another tech bubble? Let's take a second and break down the economics of AI. So here's the crucial point. We have to separate the capital markets, the stock market, from the actual technology trend. So yes, there's definitely a bubble in the markets. For sure, some of these companies are way overvalued. But the underlying trend, the technology itself, is undeniably real. Big companies are throwing bigger and bigger budgets at this, and they are deploying AI solutions at a massive scale. The real-world adoption is absolutely happening. Now, when most of us think about AI, we probably picture this, the big consumer-facing models. Zhang calls this a winner-take-all game. It's basically a battle of who has the best algorithm, the most data, and the most computing power. And in that arena, giants like Google have a nearly unbeatable advantage. But here's the thing. There is a completely different game being played, and it's called vertical AI. These are smaller, highly specialized models built for very specific industries. So think of an AI that only analyzes medical scans, or one that only detects financial fraud. In this game, it's all about high-quality, targeted data. And that data, it's owned by the hospitals and the banks, not by big tech. And this right here is the core of her investment thesis. The future of AI in business isn't going to be a monopoly. It's going to be this rich, diverse ecosystem of thousands of valuable companies, each one solving a very specific, high-stakes problem for a specific industry. Okay, so we've looked at the geopolitics, we've looked at the economics, but what does all of this actually mean for us, for our health, for our families? Let's start with this absolutely staggering fact. The healthcare industry generates nearly a third of all the data in human society. A third. But we are using less than 5% of it. That's not just a gap, it's a colossal opportunity for AI to step in and make a real, tangible difference. And it's not some far-off future thing. It's already happening. AI is helping create personalized treatment plans for diseases like dementia. It's empowering doctors by automating all the tedious stuff like medical coding so they can spend more time with patients. It's even doing incredible things like upgrading low-resolution scans to high-resolution quality with a single click. That means faster, safer, and better diagnoses for all of us. Now, all this rapid change, it naturally leads to a lot of anxiety, right? Especially when it comes to education and jobs. If AI can do all of this, what skills do we possibly need to learn for the future? And the answer might really surprise you. It's not about mastering a specific tool like coding. Nope. It's about developing the core ability to learn new things, and to learn them quickly. The future really belongs to the people who can adapt, who can use these powerful AI tools to master whatever comes next. So all of this brings us to a final and pretty profound idea about where this is all headed. Because this isn't just about us getting better tools. This could be about fundamentally changing what it means to be human. Zhang calls this concept becoming superhuman, a future where we are physically augmented with robotics and mentally supercharged by AI. We are essentially on a path to integrate with our technology in a way that will fundamentally change who we are. And the real engine behind this whole transformation? It's access. The true power of AI isn't just that it's smart, it's that it democratizes knowledge. For the first time in human history, the entire library of human understanding is available to pretty much anyone, just by asking a simple question. Which leaves us with a really fascinating final thought to chew on. We expect AI to be perfect, right? We want it to make no mistakes. So as we move closer and closer to this superhuman future, could it be that our flaws, our imperfections, our beautiful and often innovative mistakes are the very things that will keep us human?
Step on the sea.